So this week or around this month of January, I have officially been vegan for 4 years. Yeah, this is a big thing for me. 4 years of being vegan for ethical reasons. And yeah, since this is such a big thing for me, I wanted to dedicate this video to other fellow vegans or people that are considering going vegan, or people that just want to get a little bit of information of what it's like to be vegan. So in today's video I want to share with you a little bit of a backstory of how I personally went vegan 4 years ago, and also a few beginner tips if you are interested. Okay, let's start with a little backstory. So if I go back in time, little Izzy, being a child, I was never a really big meat advocate, but I remember eating meat that is processed a lot. So whether that being like ham or salami and a kind of like sausagey kind of scenario. I was never the kind of gal that would just cook herself a steak and be like, yum. No. But yeah, I would still consume a lot of meat, obviously. I would eat my pizza with all the kind of meats on it. I'd have chicken a lot. So yeah, you get the idea basically. Flash forward to, I think that must have been 2016, so a good year before I first went vegan. It was the beginning of the year and I wanted to kind of like detox, do a bit of like a nice health challenge, as one would do in the new year. So I remember I was with a friend who then later on chickened out of the vegan challenge. I don't know where I got this from. Like, I didn't even fully know what you could eat on a vegan diet, what was vegan. Like, in my head, I suppose many of you non-vegans out there who are watching this video will probably sometimes think the same, that eating vegan is probably just salads and stuff and everything kind of like veggies and raw stuff, which is, no, it's not true. There's just so much to eat. But I was very uneducated and that's just what I thought. But regardless, I thought being on the vegan diet would make me healthier, because at that point in my life I kind of already knew that meat is not the key to health. So I did that 30-day vegan challenge. I basically eliminated every animal-based products out of my diet, and honestly, like, there were some nights that I did struggle a little bit because I just wasn't educated enough in terms of what to eat. So most nights I would just end up with pretzels and some dark chocolate for dinner. It was still filling, don't get me wrong, but probably not the healthiest option, especially not long term. But I was only doing that for a month, so I'll give myself that. I would eat a lot of salads. I remember also making a lot of chilies, which, like, to this day I still make basically the same chili recipe. And yeah, I obviously, as a new vegan in that little trial phase, I would still crave meat a lot, and I just wasn't fully in on a mental level. So obviously after that month I went straight back into eating meat. I can't really remember if I started eating less meat or not. I don't know. But let's just go forward in time to me being in South Africa, which is roughly a couple months later. So I didn't really eat a lot of meat in South Africa. Obviously, like, I would still eat it on a weekly basis and stuff, but I remember towards the end, I stayed there for 4 months. Towards the end, I was just a bit turned off, because you just, like, you'd see it a lot. They love their chicken, they love their meat everywhere, and I was getting bored of it. I was just not enjoying it as much anymore, and I also started educating myself a little bit. So there's one thing that I remember, like one night in particular, where, let me have a think. So about a week before I came back to Germany, I was in Cape Town. I was in an Airbnb enjoying myself, and I remember having a glass of wine, and I was just on my laptop being like, okay, what are we gonna watch today? And I found a speech on YouTube, and I'm gonna link that speech in the description box, because that speech turned me vegetarian overnight. So the documentary was called 101 Reasons to Go Vegan, and yeah, it was a speech. I think that guy spoke in front of students, and the speech is a long speech, it's like an hour long, and I fully surrendered to the whole speech. I didn't press like forward or anything. I took everything in, and when I finished that video, I was certain that I am never gonna eat meat again in my life. And yeah, this marks the day of me going vegetarian, which was in June 2016. So coming back home, my family was a bit surprised, to say the least, that I wasn't eating meat anymore, because everyone in my family and friend circle would still eat meat and enjoy it. But even though everyone was kind of surprised and maybe a bit suspicious of what was going on, it was quite easy to peacefully coexist, because you don't automatically have to cook a different meal once you go veggie. You just have to leave the meat out, which was, oh, it's so easy. Like, when I think back now, being vegan sometimes it can be hard in situations when other people are cooking and you're like, I can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that. But that's the lifestyle I chose, and I'm very happy with it. I'm just saying that vegetarian is so freaking easy, so you really don't have an excuse not to go at least vegetarian for a bit, because it's so easy. Okay, nevertheless, I went vegetarian for, I think, around 6 months, 5 to 6 months. And in that time, I continued to educate myself. I was watching documentaries. I was following a lot of vegan YouTubers that I know, ex-vegan YouTubers. Well, let's not talk about that. Yeah, more speeches, documentaries, and just a lot of information for my tiny little brain to process. And yeah, January 2017, I finally made the decision to go fully vegan. And that was after my cousin, actually. I remember it was my mom's 50th birthday, and we had like a big meal out in a restaurant with different courses and stuff, and I ate everything veggie and like seemed to be vegan, but like the dessert was still not vegan. Like there was some sort of like chocolatey milky stuff, and my cousin just wanted to kind of joke around with me and said, hey, well, how are you going on about respecting animals and being so ethical when you still eat that dessert? And she was just joking, because she couldn't care less about what I was eating. But that made me think, and the following weekend after that, I fully committed to a vegan lifestyle. So I started with my diet. 4 years later, I'm still in the process. I can't even say 4 years later I've swapped to only non-tested on animal like products and all that kind of stuff. Like, I would say I'm probably there like 80%, but I still make mistakes. Like, diet is probably the section I am most committed to when it comes to veganism, but there's so much more. It's just, it does happen over time that you're just starting to see the bigger picture, and it shouldn't discourage you. You don't have to have it all figured out straight away, and I'll get more into that with the beginner tips, but I'm just saying, like, right now, while we're there, I personally didn't just go vegan overnight and then had it all figured out, what to buy, what not to buy, products and stuff. So yeah, January 2017 marks the month that I went vegan 4 years ago, and I have been vegan ever since. I will probably be vegan for the rest of my life. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen, but I am super happy with this lifestyle, and without me selling veganism to you anymore, I want to give you a few beginner tips. Okay, so the first tip that I can give you, and is probably the most important tip, education. You need to educate yourself, because if you're still eating meat, and that is completely fine, but if you're still eating meat and you have no idea where vegan people get the idea from of like not eating meat products, then like it's just not gonna work. Like, living in a hostel for so long, you'd know that if you'd watched my previous videos. I've been living in a hostel for over a year. I'm meeting a lot of different people, and I am sort of like figuring myself out alongside a lot of different mindsets. And for long periods of time while being in this hostel, I have been one of the only vegans. And you meet people that are great meat emphasizers and basically hate vegans. And I think the way I handle it, hopefully, I'm saying this, hopefully it makes them rethink their perception of vegans, because I'm not gonna go there and start educating them on things that they're not ready to hear. I am showing them what I eat, and that can be as simple as just cooking my meals next to theirs, and them just looking over and being like, oh, what are you cooking tonight? And I'll explain. And sure, if someone was to make a really nasty comments about animals, I will forever step in and tell them what's actually happening in that industry. But that happens so very little in my life. Most of the times it's just me slowly educating people by showing them what you can eat on the vegan lifestyle. So yeah, the whole educational tip is just, yeah, to make it easier for yourself if you're considering to become vegan. Watch documentaries, watch speeches, and get as much information in as you possibly can. I'm gonna put a few links in my description box, and I will list a few documentaries that I can really recommend and that have personally helped me too, to transition into a vegan lifestyle. But yeah, education is key for so many things. Another important tip, if you are considering going vegan for ethical reasons, which I've personally done, is to develop compassion, I mean without a doubt, and also changing your perspective. What I mean by that is, I'll give you an example, okay? Let's take the dairy industry, and if you look at it simply, cows are being raped in order to give birth to calves and therefore keep producing milk. That's just how it is. Now, if you would change your perspective a little bit and maybe think about how it would be in a world where, I'll give you two options. One, where this would happen to you. You were about to get raped because people want your breast milk. How would that feel? Do you think it's right to do that because some people superior to you think this is the way it should be? Do you think that's right? And the other option is if it was being done to other humans. So if you were to buy breast milk from other women that have been raped and artificially inseminated to give birth and therefore produce breast milk, is that a right thing to do? Do you want to give your money into this industry? So this is obviously just an example, and some people might watch this and be like, whoa, this is a bit extreme. But I feel like sometimes you have to be a bit extreme to get into those heads and just make you think for a second, yeah, actually, how would that feel like? And this is where compassion comes in. You feel for those animals. You kind of connect and you realize that this is not the right way to do it. Animals should be left alone. Okay, another tip that personally has helped me a lot is following vegan YouTubers. That can be like, I'm just saying YouTubers because it's easier for me to watch videos and just see and hear people talking, but same goes for Instagram. And I'm saying this because when you first go vegan, you have no idea what you're doing, most likely. So it's just nice if you get a handful of vegan YouTubers where you can get different kinds of information from. So most of them I would recommend being recipe videos, giving you ideas of what to cook, different meals, combinations of different foods that are actually tasty. And I do this, I still do this to this day. I love browsing through my vegan YouTubers and getting more inspiration and constantly seeking more ideas, more information of like what else to cook, because I love cooking and I love creating new recipes and trying out new recipes. So this is definitely something that won't get old. My last tip is going to be start slow. Now listen to me. Nobody is going to expect you to go vegan overnight. If you do that, that's great, awesome, good on you. I haven't done that. And many other vegans haven't done that overnight. So why would you? After having met so many people in this hostel from like so many different mindsets and like points in their lives, I think the best way to either transition into veganism yourself or to get other people to go vegan is taking your time, not rushing anything, and making small changes on a daily or on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter how long it'll take you to give up animal products. The only thing that really should matter to you is that your ultimate goal is veganism. And I know it sounds like I'm chanting this like in a weird kind of way, but for me, and like once your mind just fully clicked on, this is just the only way I can comprehend it. Start slow by eliminating meat first. 1 day, 2 days out of a week, 3 days. Make meat only an event for the weekends. Once you're comfortable with that, try doing simple things like when you have your coffee, swap to almond or oat milk instead of cow's milk. Try out several different plant milks. Honestly, we've got so many to choose from. And you might have tried out soy milk before and you didn't like it. What about almond milk, oat milk, rice milk, coconut milk maybe? There's a lot of options for you, and just because one option doesn't work for you doesn't mean that none of them do. Start slow, and before you know it, you will have eliminated a lot of animal products already. This is, my last tip for you. I hope you enjoyed this video and hopefully will get some sort of information and inspiration out of it. I am, as you can see, very passionate about this topic, and I would love to make more videos about veganism, educational videos, and so much more. So please do let me know in the comments below if you like these kind of videos, so I know and I can start making more of them videos. Tell me if you're already vegan or if you're considering, and hey, also tell me if you're eating meat still and you just clicked on this video because you were curious. That's okay too. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!